Welcome to the podcast where we take a deep dive into the stories behind construction business leaders. We will share how they got started, how they found success, and the lessons learned along the way. I'm your host, Eric Fortenberry. Welcome to Builder Stories. Welcome back, everybody. I am here today with Scott and Zach Heinold with Heinold Homes and Renovations located in Washington, Illinois. How's it going, gentlemen?
Hey guys.
It's good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, glad to have you. So why don't you guys introduce yourselves and give us the quick backstory on how you started the business.
Oh wow, how long we got here?
We got a little while. Go ahead.
All right, well, cut us off if we get too long. So I guess I'm Scott Heinold. This is my son, Zach Heinold. It's a long story. I'm trying to make it short. So I started in the heating and cooling business back in 1985. So I'm 58 years old. So I started back in, 85, did that until 2001. So during that whole time I did HVAC, I learned a lot about the industry, right? And I learned a lot about watching other people do things that I figured I can do way better than they could. And so I'm like, okay, I can do this on my own. I had some encouragement from other people and kind of went on my own and, started in 2001, right in that time. Had a lot of ups and downs since then. But again, kind of started out building spec homes back then. And then obviously, 2008, 2009 had a big downturn. And then we kind of lost my shirt, kind of had to regather myself. And then we had a tornado that came through Washington, Illinois in 2013, I believe. And that, right before that, about, 6 months ago, I hired this kid over here to work with us. And then a tornado hit. And then we went through about a year and a half of mass chaos through Washington. But long story short, we made good money. I say a lot of money, made good money, but we reinvested it back in this building here that we have and trucks and advertising and stuff like that. And then since then, we got too busy. Zach came in the office, and then we kind of went from there. And then we just started hiring people, got bigger and bigger, needed more advertising, obviously, stuff like that. And then here we are today in 2024 with 15. I think we have 15 people on our team now, and kind of here we are. And we're still growing, and we're putting an addition on the back right now as well. But the economy's been really good. I mean, we can take some credit, right? But again, God has given us the ability to do what we do. And also he's given us an economy that is very good as well. So it's hard to take credit for some of the things when it's kind of handed to you on a silver platter, if you ask me. But I wasn't in control of the tornado that came through town, but that was a blessing for us and a curse for others, right? Still, I never want to do it again because it was brutal, but that was a turning point in our business. I mean, it only happened about a mile from our office. So anyway, all that to be said, I'll let Zach talk a little bit then too, and bring him up to date.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us what really happened, Zach?
Yeah. So I actually started 10 months before the tornado, not 6. And I worked with him every single day before the tornado happened. So I got 10 months, and I had been in the business since I was younger, but really started full time 10 months before the tornado. Was February of 2013.
He really wasn't in the business much at all.
A little bit. I started then, and I was able to be trained by him for the first 10 months. And then the tornado hit, he left, and he was just gone. And he was like, hey, you're on your own now. It's been a good 10 months, but I got, bigger fish to fry. So, so we started, growing pretty rapidly during the tornado and after the tornado. And that's kind of, again, how we really accelerated our business a lot. Because we built 22 homes that year and 3 whole home remodels. So we did 25 homes that year after doing only a couple a year, before then. And
let me interject into that. My claim to fame was I always said that we didn't miss one contract date, which we didn't, and we didn't get sued, which we didn't. But a lot of people over there did. So anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Well,
yeah, but so here we are, almost 12 years later, and 12 years later, and feel like we're thriving and doing pretty well. So,
man, that's a pretty crazy story. I mean, Definitely looking for that silver lining, and you know what would be a pretty terrible situation for most people.
For sure.
And again, just to reiterate, I'd never want to do it again. It was brutal. I mean, I don't care how much money I made. I don't want to do it again. It was not fun. We were being not just a contractor. We were being a lawyer. We were being a mediator. We were being a counselor. We were being everything. These people were asking for paint colors, and they're like going, "No, not paint colors." You know, they couldn't handle any more decisions, and we couldn't either. I mean, I remember going home and taking naps for 2 hours. And then come back to work for till 8 or 9 o'clock that night. It was just, it was a very interesting time. Something I don't want to do again, but I'm glad we were there to kind of help people walk through it. So.
Yeah, we kept saying we were building homes for people who did not want to build homes. So normally we build homes for people who want to build homes, but during that time we were building for people who didn't want to build. They just had to. So it was a tricky time for sure.
They just wanted their house back. They didn't want to go through the process.
Yeah.
You know, and now we're going back to people that actually want to go through the process. That's right. Way more fun than people that don't want to go through the process. So I think I interrupted that story. So
that's fine. Yep.
So I guess you're also probably having to deal with a lot more insurance back during that time as well.
Very much so. I learned several things. One, the insurance's number is not their number. I always thought that was their number, and that's very negotiable. Once you start getting into it. And so I also learned that the big insurance companies, I won't mention any names, but I don't really have a whole lot of respect for, to be honest. I'm not going to go there. But I've learned a lot about insurance in the past. So, very interesting.
I could imagine that's definitely a really tough situation, especially for the homeowners, though, having to, you know, basically have their home just demolished and then having to try to work back to just get to that point where they're at. But, you know, hopefully having a great contractor like you guys that, you know, they got some upgrades along the way, I assume.
Yeah, definitely. For sure.
Well, the biggest thing was the insurance companies, the ones that I didn't really care for, you know, would give our homeowners a stack this big, and say, hey, I need you to fill this whole thing out. Like, how many outlets are in your bedroom? What are your serial numbers on your washer and dryer? What? I don't know. It's just brutal. You know, some people, the good ones, in my opinion, would just hand them a check and say, here you go. And they're like, oh, thank you. Anyway, that's another day for another story. But we got through it, learned a lot, and we continue to learn. Again, I told someone a couple of years ago, I'm 56 years old, and I don't have it figured out yet. And I felt like I was kind of like, this is kind of a mantra. And I'm like, dude, you know, how's that work? And now I'm 58 now, and I finally figured out that I'm never going to figure it out, right? We always learning, we're always moving on. And so all that to be said, Eric, good word for you. So when we came to the JobTread Connect to your right, a little plug for JobTread Connect a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
So me and Zach been talking about it for, I don't know, 3 months. And I'm like, dude, I'm 50 years old. I honestly don't think it's going to be that correct. I mean, I feel like I know it all. No offense. I mean, kind of know. I'm 58, but I've been doing it for 25 years. Like, I pretty much feel like I know it all. Well, wow, was I wrong? I mean, a plug for I got back and I'm like, oh my goodness, dude, learned so much stuff that I told Zach. He's so lucky to know. He's 35 years ago. I'm 35 years old. That's when I started. I was 35.
Wow.
You're so lucky to know what you know now.
Yeah.
Just, 50 years old, learning, anyway. So I learned so much. And now we're trying to implement all of our stuff in my parking lot. Eric is about, I don't know, that big.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. So today, you guys, you said you've got about, 15 employees?
Yep, correct.
And what's the mix between new home builds versus remodels, renovations, things like that?
Yeah. So last year we did 119 jobs. So 3 of them were custom new homes. So the other 116 were bathrooms and kitchens and basements and home remodels, decks, outdoor remodels, and all of the above. So I would say most of our jobs are remodels.
Okay.
We'd love to do more new homes, more custom new homes. We have a few coming up this year, but we generally would do about 4 a year or so, and then the rest will be remodels. So
what's interesting, the revenue for those 4 new homes, it doesn't equal, but it's pretty close to the revenue of the 114 remodel jobs we do, right? As far as across the board. But again, we're in Central Illinois, so building 4 custom homes is kind of a big deal around here because there's not that many home buyers around here like there is maybe, I don't know, down south or wherever else you are. So we're
Yeah.
big. We're fed by Caterpillar. Caterpillar's been our main source of everything here. Plus OSF, which go big hospitals in Peoria. And so
Sure.
Caterpillar's major people moved south in Chicago-ish in the last couple of years. So the big numbers have kind of moved. So anyway, all that to be said, the economy's not like it's killing it for multi-million-dollar homes. It's just the market's not here.
Yeah.
So most of the homes we build are probably, I would say 600, probably
500 to 750,000. So yeah,
every 8, something like that. So
So how do you treat the the both the sales process and the operations side of a new build versus a remodel? Like what are the big differences that you guys see?
yeah. I'll go ahead on that one. So it's kind of different people, to be honest. So he has done more of the new home stuff for years because back before the market crash in 2008, his company, they were building 25 to 40 houses a year when the market was large. So he has more knowledge in that. He has more knowledge in everything, but he takes care of a lot of the larger, new homes and, the additions and the bigger ones that we do to start. And then I kind of sell most of the inside jobs. And we even have another salesman who mostly sells all of our decks and roof covers and maybe more of the smaller outdoor projects. So we do kind of share a lot of that between a couple of us for sure. So if that helps out.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
all that to be said, Eric. So we got Zach and I, and we have 4 project managers.
Yeah, 4 other project managers.
4 other project managers besides us. So we kind of do both and manage those guys. And then we have 5 guys in the field, and then have a designer as well. And we just hired my wife, who actually works in the office. So we have a good field guys and office, both a good thought process, I guess, if that means.
Yep.
Anything.
And we have an estimator who writes up all our estimates for us. So basically, we go to the job, we bring back the plans and all the information to him, and he helps us write up our contracts and gets all the quoting from the trade partners and stuff, and kind of helps us get to that point where we can actually send that proposal out to the homeowners.
gotcha. So what is I'm curious, what does each of your day-to-days look like here, and who's the real boss?
She's in the other office. So I guess my day to day is, obviously I get here 6 o'clock in the morning and kind of go through everything. And basically I start my day off with JobTread, obviously going through the homepage, see what's going on. And kind of Keith and I, or my project managers, run most of the outside stuff. So Keith and I usually meet in the morning and kind of go through what's going on as far as, what's the weather look like? I mean, we're going to deal with the weather a lot, for the outside projects.
Well,
Who's doing this, who's doing what? Usually that's the first part of my day. And then kind of run with a couple of the project managers in the morning, just touch base, have a cup of coffee, see what they're doing. And then I'm in my office most of the time, figuring out invoices, getting paid, designing things, just kind of running the overall day-to-day overhead stuff. Yeah. I mean, that's...
So who's the real boss is what he said. So
Well, on paper or...
yeah. Yeah, so on paper, he's still the real boss. And my day-to-day is similar. I get in a little bit after he does. I have 3 kids that I'm still raising. So, and he doesn't have to raise any anymore. So other than when he has my kids, but I get in and I kind of do the same thing. I kind of look at everything overall. I kind of have a hand in every job for the most part. So even on the outdoor jobs, I'm, making sure things are going well. But again, I lead 2 other project managers that report to me, and then kind of a third one a little bit. We both kind of lead the third one depending on what job it is. But yeah, I mean, it just depends on which day who is the real boss. But I mean, overall, he was the mastermind, and then I kind of helped come in a little bit and shape up some of the processes a little bit better and be a little bit more organized as we grew a little bit larger. So
something to add on to that. So I always use the analogy, and we play ping pong growing up, right? So I showed Zach how to play ping pong growing up, and I used to be able to beat him, right? I still can beat him most of the time. No, I can't really. But so he usually beats me 4 out of 5 games, right? And so he's better than I am now, right? So it's in the same thought process. I brought him into the company, and I knew how to do this, right? But Zach is kind of taking it to the next level with the younger generation, right? Knows how to do all the other stuff that these old folks don't know how to do. So he's taking us to the next level as far as the processes. And then to get us into JobTread has been a game changer. That plug JobTread again. I don't mean to plug JobTread, but it's been a game changer for us. I mean, it's been about a year and a half now. Probably.
Yeah.
And Zach found out about it down in Boca Raton, right?
Yeah.
He went to a
Timber Tech training.
First. On know about JobTread. We're looking for probably 6 months at least before that.
We had another company we used for about 4 months, and just wasn't super happy with them.
This is for PT.
So we quit that, and then we didn't do anything for 6 months, and then I met someone in Boca Raton, and we just kind of started that process again. I think the hardest part for us was just we had so many things, and to transfer them all into one area or one software program was just, an astronomical amount of work. And I just didn't want to do it yet, and then we figured we really had to, because we were growing so rapidly, and we still are, that we had to make the leap. So
what would you say have been kind of the biggest like transformations for the business from, kind of pre-software to implementing software? Like where have you seen it help out the most?
Goodness. Well, first of all, I'll start. We had we're using Sheets, we're using Google Docs, we're using all the software, we're using software, but it is here, there, and everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So the biggest thing for me for JobTread is to put it all in one place and have all of it there. We don't have all of it there yet, but we have 90% of it, 95% of it there. I don't even know how much. I think there's a lot of JobTread we still don't know yet. Right?
Yeah.
So maybe there's 50%. We have a lot of it in JobTread, and we're trying to put more of it in JobTread.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think organization. We had all our schedules on Google Docs. We had our employee schedules on Google Sheets. We had all our decisions on Google Sheets. And even our trade partners were like, man, you guys are so organized. This is amazing. And in the back end, we were like, we feel like we're struggling to try to keep all this in 4 different places. So the fact that now we have all of our schedules, not only our time, we were still doing handwritten time cards at that time for our guys. And it worked fine, but it was just like, we wanted to get to a point where time clock was on JobTread, where scheduling was on JobTread, where documents, invoicing, all of that is on JobTread. Change orders. I mean, we went through change orders and nothing was signed and approved. It was just like at the bottom of the original estimate, and the homeowner sent us a text or on a phone call and said it was good to go. But just having a change order signed and approved has been game changing. So all of it just being in the same place and just being more organized for sure.
And for me, the change orders, getting into JobTread was a scary thing for me because I'm always a handshake guy, right? The older guys, we're always handshake. Good. Yeah, we're good. All right. It was usually good. Now, not so much. And so I was having going to JobTread, I don't want to do change orders. But it's literally been the best thing I ever did, because now it's all clear, cut, and dried and done. Yeah, it's been a game changer for us. And
so
not to flick JobTread too much, but hey, it's good timing.
So we're here. So that's why we're here.
Sure. So Scott, I mean, I'm sure every one of those handshake deals worked out for you, right? I mean, was there ever any?
Everyone, Eric, everyone.
What's your favorite story of maybe when it didn't work out so well?
Do you have to bring that up, man? I mean,
the only story that I have, but it wasn't a handshake, it was a contract deal. I don't know how to get in that part, but we did a house during a tornado, but it was under contract, right? Not under JobTread contract, but another contract. And we had a pretty cut and dried contract even back then. And the guy was trying to sue me he was out there, dude, but he's trying to sue me for certain things that in the contract, it was very blatant. Well, he was the same guy I probably shouldn't even say that. I'm not going to go there. But anyway, it actually worked. You're putting me on the spot, Eric. I shouldn't be saying these things.
It worked out well. He tried to do something, and I think they went to court. We didn't even have to.
We didn't go to court. The lawyer said, you have nothing against him. It will not work.
Yeah.
That's the closest we ever got to getting sued. Yeah. He had nothing because, one, we did what he asked. We did with the contracts.
Yeah.
He was just out there. So all that to be said, but again, I have a few other stories, but I think I'll refer.
I bring it up because I see so many contractors, who, they're running their business or, busy as could be, but like they haven't put in place, contracts, they're still doing the back of the envelope or the handshake type deal. And it's like, you can go for however long you can go until that one time, that one mistake, that one deal that just goes south. I mean, that could have been the moment that, makes or breaks you.
Yeah.
And so, I do think it's very important for people to hear, the benefit of being able to have that in place so that, hopefully they can, maybe skip over a couple of those hard knocks that, that you may have taken, along the way. But, it's just so important that you got a contract in place, you've got documentation, for all of your jobs. And it sounds like you guys are really, seeing the benefits of that now.
Well, I'll say this too. I've always said, and I've read this devotional a couple of years back, and it's called about choose your heart.
Yeah.
Okay, so choose your heart. It's hard to go into JobTread and get all these processes in place. It's hard. It was hard for us. Just spent a lot of time, a lot of detail go into it, but also it's hard when you don't have these processes in place, and then you have issues down the road, right? You get sued, you get all these other things, handshake deals that don't work out. So choose your heart. I'd much rather deal with JobTread and figuring it all out in the front and having it in place, and then that's your hard part. The rest of it just kind of cruises along way better than if you didn't. So
yeah. So how'd you guys go about getting the buy-in from the rest of the team?
Well, we made them. I mean, I'll be honest, like, we created everything beforehand and tried to get everybody on the same page. And so we had actually a project manager who's no longer with us come in and say, hey, you guys need to do something different. Like, you have to have a software. And so that's when we started the other company for a little bit. And I was like, hey, this is good, but it's not what we need. So then when we actually dove all in, it was kind of like myself and him needed to learn all of it first. So we actually were doing things twice. We'd make a schedule on JobTread and then make a schedule on Google Docs and send it out both ways just so, we could slowly work into this. So I think once we got it figured out, which we still don't have it all figured out, but as much as we do right now, that we kind of started implementing it a little by little and just saying, hey, this is what we're going to do. We just went through a meeting today where we're like, hey guys, every conversation on JobTread, if you can, every single one, we need to be able to track it. We need to be able to know that you're communicating with our homeowners. So they're on board, and I think they've seen how much it's actually helped us be more organized. They've seen it with our trade partners. They've seen it amongst each other, that it's really helping us. So I think they were on board. It took a little bit of, knowledge from them to kind of learn and grow and start getting into it themselves before they actually, were fully on board. So
is that the question you had, Eric, on board in Heinold Homes or on board on JobTread? What you mean? Is that what you meant?
Yeah, I mean, just getting that adoption from your crews and everybody to leverage the software, because sometimes it can be a challenge. When maybe one person brings it to the table and says, hey, this is it, this is what we want to implement, and then kind of getting everybody else to have that epiphany, that that understanding of the value that it's going to create. Sometimes that can be you can either force it on people or you can kind of try to pull them into it. I think there's a couple different strategies on how you go about it. But
I'll go back to the subcontractors are the hardest guys to get on. I mean, we try to encourage, try to push, however buttons you can push to get them to go on there. Some have embraced it, some haven't. We're still learning and helping them. Guys, look, it's right here. If you just push these 3 buttons, you get to what you need to see. And like, oh, really? Oh, okay. So we're still implementing that and processing that. Our employees, obviously, hey, this is what we're using, so go do it. You know what I mean? It's way easier to use with those guys. So overall, it's been, but I think that some of the subcontractors are even like, oh, okay, this is pretty cool. But nobody likes change, right? Yeah. I don't like change. They don't want change, but they gotta understand if they're going to work with us, they're going to have to change and adapt, and it's for their own good. They just don't know it yet.
Yep.
So how do you keep your your employees and your subcontractors all on the same page? Like, do you guys have regular meetings? Do you get together in person? Do you do something online? Like, how do you how do you keep everybody on the same page?
It's hard. It's hard because we have 15 people now on our team. We actually have another one starting in June, so we'll have 16 employees here, and we work with probably 35, 40 other trade partners or subcontractors. So when you add up all the people who are trying to, align with how you do things, it's not an easy task. And I think that's, where we could do a little bit better job of is spending more time with those individual subcontractors or trade partners and making sure that they can read their JobTread well, right? They can understand where their jobs are, where their tasks are, what they can see and what they can't see. So yeah, we do have meetings. We have what we call kind of a sales meeting is our inside guys. And then we try to have, a company meeting as well. I don't know, once a month ish, to where we, get together for breakfast or lunch or donuts and, have a big meeting at our showroom and our shop as well.
Because everybody wants to be heard, right? We want everybody to be heard, because a lot of those guys can help us step out in the field. So you can't see that, but in my notes, Eric, since I came back to JobTread, I took many notes, right? One of them says we need to have a trade partner meeting here at the office with, probably the main people, like electricians, right? There's one girl, Katie, who runs everything from the Trap Electric, right? And there's probably, I don't know, 15 people. So we've got her on JobTread. We try to show her we send out the videos to help those guys. And so we try to keep with the main people, at least with JobTread, focused on those people so they can show their people what to do, right? So I feel like it's definitely, I think it's gone better than I expected, to be honest. I think Katie loves it now. I think she really likes it now that she's gotten down to it and seen this view and everything's in there. So plus I always have a hook in her too. Like, oh, remember that job was already in there. You said you could get there, right? Yeah. So before it's like, Scott, I have no idea what you're calling about. I'm like, shoot, if there's a job check, she could see it. She knows it's coming up, right? So
yeah, I think as you
challenge though.
As you continue to grow your team, what I found, because we're about 30 people, over here at JobTread right now. I mean, like, when you're small and it's just a couple of you, it's pretty easy to keep everybody, on the same page. But like as you grow and get bigger and bigger, and you got more people in different roles, it can definitely be a challenge to kind of keep those open communication lines going. So, at the construction company I ran, I mean, we basically, the first Wednesday of every month was when we had our all hands on deck team meeting. We did a breakfast, brought in, donuts or, breakfast tacos or, kind of varied up. But, every month I tried to get all of our employees, project managers, all of our subs and trade partners, get everybody together. And it was, it was like 2.5 hour meeting where, we wanted to focus on, providing company updates, like helping them understand, what were our wins last month? What were our challenges? Like, what do we need to do better? Kind of sort of those company level updates. But then after that, we'd provide just some more hands-on training, bring in maybe one of our partners or whoever, to come and kind of provide some more, detailed sort of, specific on the site, on the job training that would help them, with their jobs. But, I do think it's important that, as you keep growing, make sure that you keep that focus on, the culture and keeping people together. Because that will become more of a challenge as it sounds like you guys got a plan to continue growing and building out the business, and just something that I might encourage you to really think through how you can have that more regular meeting.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do is love on people. Like, we do this because we feel like we're called to do it. We feel like we've been given gifts that allow us to be leaders. I think it's a generational thing, at least in our family, from his dad to him to me. I feel like we're called to be leaders. We're called to be different, but we really do love people. And I think that's what our focus is trying to be upon. It is our employees, is our trade partners, is our homeowners. As hard as it can be to love all people, we do it to the best of our abilities. And I think that's what separates us is there's a name. Our name is Heinold. It's not a big name or anything, but I mean, people usually know our name in our town of 16,000 people. And I watched this video one time, and it's all about your last name, and it's not about your first name. People know my first name, but they know my last name, and how important it is to carry on a last name. And I'm excited to carry on my own last name. I'm excited to carry on his last name and his dad's last name, and legacy is just really important to me. And so I just think it's really important to have a good name. And even my wife just ran for school board for our kids. And she said so many people had told her, I just voted for you because of your last name. And it just was awesome to know that our name means something. And it's just an honor to have my name. And I just continue to try to live that name out as good as I can. So.
Yeah, it's awesome that you have that kind of that awareness, and that appreciation for, what has been built over, many years before you, and hopefully many years after you. It is it's a really neat honor that you get to that you're part of it today with your dad. I mean, it sounds like probably at some point he may turn that business over to you entirely. Maybe he'll go into retirement. Who knows? Maybe not.
He could never retire. I couldn't kick him out of here for some reason. He'll never leave.
But we are actually in a 15-year buyout, right? We're in year 3 of a 15-year buyout right now that you said that. But something else that I did want to share too, something about how do we keep the groups together and there's a lot, right? I feel like I told Zach, we're constantly doing this. We're just not contractors. We are
psychologists,
just counselors. We're, people's ear, right? Sometimes. And I always tell all of our guys, I'm like, share the truth and love. I mean, just don't share the truth, dude, because that's not good. And you can't just share love. You have to share the truth in love. And so when guys come to us and like, well, so-and-so's not, they're jacking around or they're doing this or, everybody's got issues, right? And so I always bring up, well, yep, you got issues. I got issues. We all got issues, dude. So let's just try to, let's just do the best we can to get along, right? And to share the truth and love. I tell the guys all the time, share the truth and love. How would I tell a homeowner this? Well, you share the truth with love. Try to do that. I feel like it's a godly way to do it. I feel like that's what Jesus taught us to do. And so I feel like that's what we try to do. Not always easy by any means. But again, I try to keep this all together and it's a challenge.
Yep.
So like we are blessed and called to do it. Some days it's easier to put the tool belt on. I got my tool belt pinned over on the wall over there.
Wow.
Some days it's easier to put that tool belt back on to go out and shop and work. You don't have any, like Zach used to paint. I used to paint too. I showed him how to paint. Then he paints better than me, right? But I showed him how to paint. He painted all his houses during a tornado. That's what he was doing the whole time. But he's also learning as he was painting, right? As I was doing heating and cooling back in the day, I learned all the rest of the trades while I watched. So I'm like, I can do that. So all that to be said, I know what I was going to say. Oh, I know. So when I go on the shop, it's so much easier to deal with paint and nobody yelling at you or talking to you, right? And nobody wanting things. And so much easier. Some days it's easier not to do that. But I keep choosing to put that tool belt on the wall. So for some reason,
Well, I love that that framework. Share the truth with love. I mean, that's I think one of the hardest things of being a business owner is having to have those really hard, tough conversations. Whether you're letting somebody go or you're having to kind of read them the right act, and really kind of having those hard conversations can be one of the most challenging parts of running a business. Yep. And is that falling in on your court right now, Scott, or is that something that you guys kind of divide that up, or who has the really hard conversations when need be?
Typically, well, two thoughts to that. People are like, how many people have you fired over the years? I'm like, not one. They won't fire themselves. I didn't have to fire them. They've done something that they know they shouldn't have done, so they actually they let themselves go. Two, I've embraced those conversations over the years. I don't say I enjoy them, but kind of. I mean, I don't mind having those hard conversations. I used to not like them at all, but over my lifetime, I've gotten older, right? And so I'm like, come, let's talk. What? Let's just talk about it. And we're like, all right, so like, and then after those conversations, it's like so much better. Everybody's like, oh. And so I think Zach's really learned a lot from me, because I don't think Zach liked those conversations at all, but he's way better at having them. So I'm usually the one that either instigates them or brings the guys to help us, or Zach says something too, like, we'll probably need to sit down and talk. It's like, okay, we got to schedule time to do that. Not that the conversation is that hard, but you got to schedule more time to talk. So it's like, you just got to keep making more time in the day. But if you don't, those issues become bigger issues, and they become bigger issues, and then bigger issues. Next thing you know, you got one of your guys influencing the whole company. You should have dealt with it, and you didn't. So as a counselor / contractor / general contractor, your job is to manage those things, and it's not easy. So part of the job.
It is so true that it definitely it's a very much an acquired skill that I would say does get easier and easier. As you do it and over the years, and but it's so interesting how many people they just avoid those hard conversations. Whether it's with an employee or a trade partner, or even with a homeowner. you got to remember, like, people can't read your mind.
Yeah.
And if you don't address things head on, then you're just setting yourself up for an even harder conversation down the road. So you might as well just get it out there today, get it dealt with, and it's, 9 out of 10 times, everyone walks away feeling much better, that it's been, aired, it's off your chest. Like, we now have, acknowledgement of the challenge or whatever it may be, and everybody can move forward, hopefully, knowing what the next steps are and how to prevent, that issue from happening again, or how to overcome that issue or whatever it may be. So, it is something that, I think over time it does certainly get a lot easier, and you start to realize that it's a whole lot easier to address it head on, as soon as possible versus letting it linger and just build and get even worse.
Yeah. And a lot of those conversations, like I always tell, me and Zach have learned that, like I always say, at the table, because we set our customers down at the table, at conference table, and we try to get, everything down on our contracts in black and white as much as possible. We're always going to have some gray areas here and there, but the more we can get in black and white, it alleviates a lot of those conversations later, which, to be honest, when we got into JobTread, we were a little bit lax on making our first documents, our first contracts. And some of my guys get into the job like, dude, this contract sucks. What are you doing? I'm like, oh, yeah, it does. It's not very detailed, is it? So we've since gotten a lot better now, putting more details in our contracts. And Justin, our estimator, he just started doing this as well. He's doing way better, with wordage and all that. So again, learning curve for all of us, right? But
So where do you look for new employees? I mean, how are you recruiting people? Sounds like it's a fairly small talent pool that you may have there. I mean, what do you do to try to recruit people to your company?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny, Eric. We're hiring a guy in June, and he's coming from Chicago area, actually. We didn't do anything. He called us. So I'll be honest, like, we used to use like a hiring website. We put our stuff on there. We never really got anything off of it. So the last few employees have actually reached out to us. So through word of mouth, I think, honestly, the last 6 employees we've hired the last 6, we haven't done anything for. We've received phone calls for them, and then we hire them. So now, are we actively searching? We're even changing our website now to have a careers profile on it for that reason. But as of right now, we haven't really done anything. We've done it in the past, like, hey, where do we get these people? But most of the time we advertise a lot on Facebook, and we're very active on social media. And so we have a lot of people who kind of, again, know us in our small town and know we're either hiring or we're not. And so most of the people that we've hired have been just kind of organically, come to us. So,
and we still have people that come to us, and we got on the back burner. Yeah, we're not looking right now, but maybe in the future we are.
Yeah.
But again, we're not in a massive town, we're not in Chicago, and we do have a good name, and so people have come to us a lot. So, but we have used like Indeed before, but it really didn't do much for us.
No. So
I'm curious, what would you say has been your biggest challenge, in the past? And when you look forward, what do you think is going to be your biggest challenge moving forward?
Loaded question, Eric. How do you answer that in like 30 seconds?
Biggest challenge of the past.
Where? Here.
You know the past more than I do, but I mean, I'd love to answer the future.
I think you just called me old, didn't he?
I'd love to know the future.
Wait.
Let me just start with the future. The biggest challenge of the future for us, I think, is, what does the market look like? Because right now it's really crazy. Like, we're busier than we've ever been as a company, ever. We're hiring people. We could hire 10 more people right now, and it'd be fine through the year right now. But is it going to stay like that or not? So is there going to be, I keep hearing people say, hey, there's going to be another market crash like 2008. And I'm like, people have been saying that since COVID, which was 3 or 4 years ago now. So is there going to be, or is there not going to be? We don't know. But what we know is we're taking it for what it is right now. Like, we're a little stressed and overwhelmed right now, just a little bit, but I'd rather be stressed and overwhelmed because there's too much work than not enough. So I think right now we're just saying, hey, let's enjoy this. Let's take it for what it is, and let's just go after as hard as we can, and get as many jobs and as many homeowners and customers on our side as we can right now. Is that a problem, or is that a struggle for the future? I don't know. Is that a hurdle? I hope not. I hope it's not a hurdle. I hope we can continue to do this for years and years to come. But we're also to the point now where like, how large do we get? You know, we're at 15 employees, almost 16. Do we get to 25? Do we stay at 16? Like, you know, are we kind of in our sweet spot? We feel like we're already, you know, larger than we ever thought we would be. You know, so I guess that would be a hurdle for us, or something to overcome, is like, how far do we take this? You know?
Sure. So, I mean, it seems like you do have a good mix of, you know, of subcontractors as well as employees, you know. So, you know, I've seen some people where it's, you know, they hire everybody and they make them full-time employees, and they could end up over hiring to the point where when business slows down, well, now you can't make payroll, you know, so that can obviously be a huge challenge. But, you know, you could potentially convert some of those employees to subcontractors, you know, 1099s if you needed, and if things needed to slow down, maybe you can, you know, only, you know, keep them, you know, half-time or part-time busy, but it gives them an opportunity to sort of, you know, try to find out, you know, work elsewhere as well. But, you know, it seems like you've got a good balance and a good mix of employees to trade partners there.
And I guess for me to answer that question, what was the explain the question again?
The biggest hurdle. Kind of, right?
I would say hiring good people. Hiring good people and people that care, people that want to work, people that, you know, want to do a great job. That's always been an issue. Do we have them now? I feel like we do. Like we've have people that care. I want to hire someone that cares. I mean, I'd rather have them care than have a great skill set. I mean, I want both, right? I mean, I feel like the people that care do the best work. I don't care what it is. And so I guess that's always been the biggest hurdle. And how do we get everything done? You know what I mean? That's always a hurdle, right? How do we get it all done? Zach and I were talking, I've ever seen that commercial on TV. It's been a while back. They like 6 people singing on this screen, and they're on this internet, or they have all this internet business, right? And all of a sudden, one order comes in. You're like, oh, okay, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like, yes, 10 orders, 100 orders. They're like, now they're like, who stop? How are we gonna do all that? You know what I mean?
Wow.
So I feel like we're not to that point yet, but we could be. But now we're just trying to get our margins up and get the jobs that we want. So we're picking and choosing them a little bit more, and we're doing a way better job at figuring out what jobs we want to go look at through JobTread, through JobTread Connect. We learned a lot about
just pre-qualifying
leads. And so we're doing a way better job. We call pre-qualifying leads. And I'm kind of a ramrod sometimes. I'm like, okay, what time? Yeah, I'll be there. And then, you know, not getting any information. Zach's like, what'd you tell them?
Like, did you tell them that bathroom wasn't going to be $5,000 or no?
I got to look at it. But again, that's my mentality a little bit, because that's how I was in the past. Go, go, go. And so try to work smarter, not work harder. So I don't really answer the question very well, but that's kind of
people.
Yeah, no, I mean, that makes total sense. And that's obviously a great takeaway for you, you know, to learn how to pre-qualify, you know, to really, you know, you've only got so many hours in the day, you know, and so you've got to make sure that you're focused on the highest priority leads, you know, the most important things every day. I mean, I'm curious, are there any things in particular that, you know, you've sort of identified as potential red flags early on, or, you know, what's something that might lead you to just basically want to basically turn and run for the hills when you see something come up?
I get to answer this question. So
be careful. All right.
No, but that's a good point. Zach's always like, he's my little guy.
He just wants to go like this and tell you everybody and everything.
They better than he used to be, right?
I have to calm him down a little bit. Every interview, he's like, yeah, he's hired. And I'm like, what do you mean he's hired? You didn't talk to him for 20 minutes. No, let's talk.
We have to talk about how it was in the past. That's how it was. Anyway, all that to be said. No, I lost my train of thought.
What customers do you not want to work
so
for?
Someone who says, can you break it all down?
Yeah.
You know, that's the first. Can you break it down with labor material? I'm like, that's my number one red flag. No, we can't. I mean, maybe back in the day I was doing nothing and I had nothing to do. Sure. Now I can pick and choose more. I know right off the bat that's not going to be a good customer, because they are 99% always a pain in the butt, because the next thing you know, they're nickel and diming you and everything else. Wow. So for someone to say that, can you break the estimate down for me? No, you really can't. And so then we explain ourselves, and still a lot of times we still might get the job, but I'm not going to break down the estimate and break it down. That's one thing. You got anything on your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I would even say too, a lot of times people want a labor and material quote, but when we get quotes from, subcontractors, we don't always get a labor and material, difference. So we don't even have that number. So, we gently tell them that's not what we do. It's not in any rude or mean way. It's just a process that we have that we don't share our numbers. Our number is fixed. It doesn't change depending on if we find something crazy in your walls, but that number stays as it is. So it's just, we try to say it as nicely as we can without offending someone,
But also with JobTread Connect, we talked to a lot of other contractors there. And then the Job Plus, what's it called? Plus.
Yeah, and just Job Plus, right? I mean, or Cost Plus.
Cost Plus, yep.
We don't do any of that here.
Yeah.
They've been asked to do that once in a while, and I just no. We've done it once or twice. Didn't work out. Next thing you know, homeowners complaining about 2x4s left on the job site.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So it was just way more opinion than anything else. And so that's, to me, like, not really able to deal with that either. But
so on your proposals, then you're basically giving them kind of one lump sum fixed price at the bottom. Like you kind of what level of detail are you providing on the proposal? And, is it just one price at the bottom, or do you kind of break it out anymore?
Yeah. So there's one price at the bottom, but in some of those areas that we do specific allowances based upon what we think the homeowner is going to spend. So if there's a kitchen, we'll give an allowance for cabinets and countertops, or hardwood flooring, or vinyl planks or something. So inside that lump sum, there are multiple allowances that they need to stay within. And if they go over that, then they owe us that much. So yeah, there are some areas where, the allowances are broken up, but then also options. We give a lot of options to our homeowners. So at the very bottom of the estimate, if there's something they kind of want to know what that's going to add, we'll just line item that as an option so they can click on that. And so they know, there's sometimes when people just I had one who was like, that's great. Oh, I clicked that option and added 5,000. I clicked that one and it took off 4,000. Like, now I know that I'm even, because we don't want to we don't really have anything to hide. Like, we don't want everyone to see how much money we're making just because that's a little bit strange. But if they need to know what something costs, like if a homeowner is like, hey, I just wanted you to break down the number because I wanted to paint myself. And I'm like, okay, if you painted yourself, it's $4,000 off. And they're like, okay, that's all I wanted to know. But some people are like, hey, I wanted to hire my friend who's an electrician. And if you were 3,000, he can do it for 2,000, And so that's kind of another reason why we don't share those numbers, is because we don't want to be undercut, and we want to be able to have control of our own job. But we do break out allowances and then different options for homeowners. So it isn't just $100,000, good luck. I mean, and it's very detail oriented, and there's a lot of information, down to how many can lights there are, sometimes even how many outlets and switches, they're allowed and stuff like that. So, yeah.
What's you guys' favorite part of the business?
I know what mine is. Mine is planning. I think Zach's the same way. I really enjoyed planning. I enjoy the overall process. I enjoy scheduling the guys, scheduling jobs, getting them figured out and getting them going. If you're gonna ask what I hate the most, it's got to be Zach's laughing because he knows it's figuring out how much the jobs cost. That's one reason why I hired an estimator, because that just drags me down after a while. I'm the big picture guy. That's kind of how I operate. I really enjoy the planning, enjoying the I love the camaraderie with the guys too. I love the just hanging out with a bunch of guys who have the same mindset. One thing about JobTread Connect, plug it again, but that was so fun to see other contractors down there like-minded. That was really fun to talk to so many of the guys and hear their stories. And I didn't talk much. I just listened. I'm usually a good listener anyway, but I listened way more. I just want to hear what they had to say. It was just so great to hear other stories. So,
yeah, I mean, I love people, Eric. I've always loved people. I've never been shy to talk to anybody. My wife was always a little bit different in that area. She's like, you can talk to anybody. And I'm like, well, I learned early to find common ground with people. And then, I was a car salesman actually for like a year. And that was the biggest thing. Everybody hated you. I was like 19 or something like that. But everybody hated you. as soon as they drove on the car lot. And so my goal was to just break down those walls and just get to know them a little bit. So if I saw a golf club in their back seat, I'd be able to say, "Oh, you golf? Oh, so do I." And just kind of learn from them. So I love people. I love, living out my God gift, and I believe that's being a leader. And so I just love leading people and helping them to grow the best that they can and what they're good at and their skills. And that's what we try to do as well, is hone people in. If they're better at selling, but they're not a very good project manager, like, we don't want them to be a project manager. I don't want you to manage my project, but if you can sell anything, great, go sell it, then hand it over to the person who's actually good at that skill. So I think that's what we're learning, because we had a guy recently who was with us for a while, and he was awesome at selling. He'd sell any job, but when it came to the management portion of it, he just got a little bit overwhelmed. And I wish we would have realized that a little bit sooner, that I didn't realize that he wasn't great at managing it, but like, if we could have kept him on as salesman only, he would have killed it for us. So I think just putting people in the place that they should be, and just honing in their skills, and just continuing, just leading people. So
yeah, I've definitely learned it's very important to make sure you've got all the right people in the right seats.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of figure out, where and how to get to your destination together. But if you got people in the wrong seats, that can definitely be a big challenge. So the earlier you can identify that, the better.
Yeah.
So where, just curious, kind of, where you've shared a lot with us, and I really appreciate it. Where do you want to see this business go? I mean, obviously it sounds like, Scott, you're going to be, handing the reins off at what, 15 minus 3 years? Is that, is it at some point? I mean, so Zach, I mean, where do you plan to take this thing, man? Like, what's your long-term vision?
I'm interested too. Well, I've been saying the same thing. Well, where are you going to go with this thing?
Well, we're currently adding on right now. We have 4 offices here in our showroom. We have a big showroom and a shop, and we're adding on 8 offices, and we're adding on a new conference room. So, I mean, we're expanding. We have 3 project managers in our showroom right now. We're probably about a month or so out from moving most everything into the back conferences. So yeah, I mean, I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know fully. And that was one of the things I learned at JobTread Connect as well, is like, what's your why? Like, why are you doing this? And I think my why for a while was because I didn't want to do this, Eric. I really didn't. I had a lady, I'm not going to get into it too much, but who basically told me what my calling was. She found me one day at my church and just spoke into my life and said, "You're supposed to be working with your hands and building strong foundations." And I had been talking about working with my dad for like 6 months. And like, she told my wife and I that, and I immediately quit my other job and said, "This is what I'm supposed to be doing." So like, I was actually called into this in a really crazy way that a lot of people wouldn't believe. Actually, it's for another day. But like, that's why I'm here, because I was called to do it. I've not been called to go anywhere else. So I'm going to stay here for as long as I feel like God has me here. But yeah, I mean, my biggest thing is I want to create processes, Eric, that anybody who comes in here does the same thing. So, if we're making a spreadsheet that a homeowner has all their selections on, like, I want to log it in the same way and I want to teach all my guys to log it in the same way. So like, there was something that happened today, that there was a file logged in a JobTread, and they said, "Well, I know who logged that one in. It's not tagged, and it wasn't capitalized properly." So that wasn't you. But it's like, I want to build these processes in this company to where I can be gone and it still runs the exact same if I was here. So I think that's my biggest goal, is creating a company that I don't have to be hands-on anymore, but still be really excited about, the direction of it and the people that we have working for us, just to carry on our name too.
Well,
I mean, I think a lot of people who even work for us understand that we have a great name and they care about our name as well. So I think just building a legacy that lasts.
Yeah, I love it, man. So one final question. You said you have 3 kids. Is one of those kids going to be taking over the business one day as well?
Maybe. We're trying. We'll see. He's 12. I got a 12-year-old and a 7-year-old boy. So the 7-year-old is an amazing worker. Like, he loves working. The 12-year-old, he's good at sports and he loves doing that kind of stuff. So eventually he'll probably turn over. I didn't love working either when I was 12. I just wanted to hang out with the boys and run around. So Yeah, there is 2 other boys though. I've actually talked about getting my 12-year-old and just starting to implement information into JobTread. So that's coming sometime soon, just implementing customers and creating jobs at some point. My wife thought I was crazy, but I'm like, come on, he's 12. He knows how to type just as good as most adults at this point now. So it'd be all right implementing, customer information. So I think that's coming here at some point. So
Nice. Yeah, I think my first job was at the age of 14. So, I think not too far away. I've got a 6 and a 5-year-old, and I always ask them, what they want to do. And my daughter, she's a 6-year-old. She wants to do something with animals, maybe be a vet, something like that. And my son always says, "Oh, I want to come work with you." I was like, "Awesome." Do you want to be the boss one day? He goes, No. I just want to work. I don't want to be the boss. I'm like, all right, well, as soon as you're ready, come on, we'll figure out something for you. But
yeah.
So
They both want to be basketball players right now, and that's what I wanted to be too. So I gotta, we're gonna go. I'm only 5'7".
Let's say it's 5'7" though, dude.
They're not gonna be probably much taller. So my 12-year-old will probably be taller. They'll probably both be taller than me. So I think if basketball doesn't work out or golf doesn't work out, then I'm sure they'll probably be here. So
wow,
that's the hope.
Yeah.
Well, look, guys, I really appreciate you coming on. It's obviously a very rare and unique opportunity to have a father-son duo podcast here. So it's super neat to hear from both you guys. Kind of what it's taken to build this business and where the business is going. It's very apparent that you guys very much love what you're doing. Love the opportunity to work together. I think it's super neat. Obviously I get to work with my dad as well. I think y'all got to meet him at JobTread Connect. He's my CFO, and I think at the end of the day, there's nothing that I'd rather be doing than building a business with my dad. And so it's super cool getting to see you guys in that same situation. Working hand in hand every day. It's something that I think we're all very blessed to have that opportunity. To be able to do, because I know a lot of people. They you hear all the time, don't mix business and family and business and pleasure, and I think that's probably true for a lot of cases, but it's always that much better when you can make it work. And so it makes me happy seeing you guys and all of your success. Can't wait to see where you take the business in the coming years. I mean, obviously it'll be a little bit different once you actually fully take over, Zach, but I'll be rooting you on, and I'm sure there's nothing but greatness coming you guys' way.
Thanks, man. We really appreciate you having us.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Builder Stories. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and gained valuable insights that can help you in your journey along the way. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and leave us a review. And as always, if you or someone you know has a story to share, please contact us at builderstories.com. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Eric Fortenberry, and remember, every builder has a unique story. Keep building yours.